to anything. I'm no professor, but I'm not going to get, killed off by dope or bad food or high fructose corn syrup. I'm moving too fast. There's too much to do. There's too much fun to have. There's too many hands to shake. There's too many, hours of music to dig. And you can't do it if you're trying to destroy yourself. And in my opinion, that's what they handed us. And that was my revelation as a 23-year-old guy. I'm now 51, and I've never got off that train of thought. It informs me to this day. So that's the kind of stuff I was thinking about as I turned 50, eating a tuna fish sandwich in a diner in New York City. Bada boom, bada. So. I have been accused at times of being a workaholic and a maniac. I do interviews every day, actually, and they go, well, you're a bit of a workaholic. I said, well, define what you consider to be a workaholic or workaholism. And they said, well, you. I go, well, what do you mean? They said, well, you write every week for the LA Weekly. You write once a month for Rollins in Australia. You've published over 27 books of your own on your own imprint, and they're in translation all over the world. You've averaged over 100 shows a year for over 30 years. You're a Grammy winner. You've put your voice on 800,000 cartoons. You've been in 547 films that no one ever gets a chance to see unless they buy them for 99 cents at a truck stop or at a Walmart where it has a huge sign saying, free kitten with every DVD, please get them out of here. And so, you put your voice on all these different things. You never seem to ever shut up or stop doing anything. You never seem to sleep. You're almost vampiric in your ability to stay awake and stay alive year after year, always doing something. You are a total maniac and a workaholic. I said the first part of that is true. I do all that stuff, and I am a maniac, but I'm not a workaholic. They go, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. They said, well, what's your version of a workaholic? I said, E.E. Cummings, Albert Camus, Mark Twain, Thomas Wolfe. These are people who wrote and wrote and wrote. And they had ideas, they had vision, they were artists. I am a work slut. And the difference is huge. Everything interests me, girl, and I just do stuff. I come from up the street from here, from the minimum wage working world of the 1870s. I have no illusions as to where I'm supposed to be. I'm just a guy burdened with a mere high school education. And so I say yes to stuff because sitting around will not do. I cannot handle inactivity. My brain eats my brain alive. And when I come back from tour, I'm like a bullet going into wood. It's like 100 miles an hour. Done. And I come back to my house and I don't even recognize it. I see it like, every couple of years. And I walk in, I drop my grimy green backpack and I survey the environs. And I don't even think I live there. And I look at this like, who lives in this place? And I attempt to profile the owner of this miserable man box. I'm like, well, it's an adult male, too old to be living like this, definitely lives alone. No woman would let him live like this. He's a man incarcerated in his 17th year of development. And what's the evidence of that? Well, there's a poster of the first Clash album, museum-grade framed, UV-coated, glare-free plexi with art lights shining upon it like it's Modigliani. Oh, look, a flat gray wall. Ooh, so minimal. With the first Joy Division album poster with art lights on it, it too is museum-grade framed, which cost more than the piece of paper ever did. I was done with that record when I was 17. Look at that stereo. You could wound an animal with that thing. This man has turned his entire house into the bedroom of his 10th grade year. What single word describes this man? Pathetic. I'm home. And so by the second time I go to the grocery store, I am in this complete state of misery. I go to my local Trader Joe's, I walk in, and the second time I got my reusable bags, I walk in, I'm off the road. I have to be an adult now. It's obvious to you, perhaps at this point, nothing gets by you, that I can't handle real life. I can't handle it. It's not flavorful enough for me. So when someone says, hey, you want to be in Attack of the Bugs 5? I'm like, yeah! Because between tours, I need to do stuff. And I'm not picky. I just like to get up and go. And so I say yes to everything. I'm like Jethro Bodine. I'll go running into auditions. If there's the promise of a pen and a free sandwich, pick me, I want to play. And so a while ago, National Geographic contacted me. And they said, so you travel all over the world by yourself, do you? I said, oui, I do that thing. They said, how'd you like to do with Nat Geo Wild? I went, oh, damn, book it. And they said, so what kind of documentaries do you want to do? I said, I get a choice? Okay. I want to be dropped into hot and dangerous locations and do activities that might result in me becoming envenomated, consumed, mauled, mangled, disemboweled, or otherwise inconvenienced or discomforted. Anyway, that's a little radical for Nat Geo. I said, then radicalize. Let's do some crazy stuff. And they're like, you're a maniac. I said, the day is so young. And so they gave me an assignment here. You'll do a 3-part documentary on the animal underworld. You'll assess human-animal relationships all over the world. I said, like what, man-on-dog action? And they said, no, that's Kentucky. It's a Sunday night, I'm working hard. Anyway. So I said, what do you mean? They said, well, we'll do one episode on human-animal relationships as to consumption. I went, the consumption of animals not on the Western menu. Like I'm going to eat a bug. You just might. I said, I'll eat that bug. I'll eat that bug for TV. And they said, we'll do another episode of people with extreme pets. I said, like the guy who doesn't want to have a Labrador Retriever, he wants a yellow Nile crocodile in his backyard. And so they said, exactly. I said, I'll hang out with a crocodile. I know that they're kind of mean, but you know, so is 4th grade. And so I'll get in there and I'll see what happens. And they said, we'll do another episode of animals used for religious purposes. I said, like Santeria, right? And the chicken, they said, very well could be. And so for about 6 months of last year, I went bouncing all over the world with a Nat Geo Wild film crew. And the main cameraman is an Australian guy named Chris Denton, Chris with a K. Incredibly amazing guy. He's been dropped into every hot and dangerous environment the world provides. I am so jealous of his resume. I'm green with envy at all the bullets, spears, and other things he has barely dodged. I was like, I want to be you, man. And he's always grouchy. He's always pissed off. Like, whenever you see him, like, Chris, I'm like, I'm mad. Well, have a good day. What's good about it, mate? And he's like the best damn cameraman. He's like an utter perfectionist, which means you do everything 5 times. He gets a day and a half of B-roll per shot. Like, you'll just see him filming dirt. Like, Chris, you've been filming dirt all afternoon. What are you doing? Mate, top of the line, Nat Geo. We need B, C, D, E, F, and G roll, mate. Just get out of my way. And so I figured out, after filming with him all over the world for 6 months, the main thing that seems to aggravate him is me. And I found a great way to keep myself awake and keep my blood thin was to enervate Chris. And it's easily done. Just stand next to him. What are you doing? And he shows his anger by smiling and hyperventilating. And the eyes go like, get away from me, mate. And I was like, really? You call that a shot? I'll be looking at the monitor like, that's kind of amateur. Before he takes the camera off, you run. You're the best, and you run away. And at one point, we're in Vietnam, and we're at a restaurant that looks like a small zoo, and everything you see flying, slithering, or swimming is the menu. And we meet the owner of the restaurant. So he said, what's the most exotic and expensive thing on your menu? We'd like to see it. And he said, well, come with me. And we go into a room. It's where he keeps all of his cobras. The cobra is like the $300 dinner. And they use it for, like, weddings, coming of age. It's a big snake, and they're not exactly plentiful in Southeast Asia. They're around, but not nearly as easy to access as other varieties of snakes in Southeast Asia. So it's the big, expensive one. And he's got rows of cages on the floor, like boxes, with lids made of screen. Chris, of course, has to get footage of these hissing, striking cobras up close and personal because it's Nat Geo Wild. And so he has his lens in a box of cobras, which are striking upwards at the lens. The cobra doesn't have a very fast strike. It's not like a rattlesnake, which is like a Bruce Lee punch. It's like they kind of get up and fall forward. You easily dodge them. They're not fast, but if they nail you, your whole family dies. And so, it's a very serious bit of neurotoxins going into your system. Anyway, he's got his lens in, basically bugging the cobras. And the cobras are they're like drama queens. They're very noisy and a lot of hissing and striking. It's very, very intense. They're all pissed off. You're pissing me off. I was trying to take a nap. And Chris can't light the box because he can get the lens in, but not the lens and a light. And he's getting very frustrated because he wants to get the shot of the cobra striking at the lens. If he can light it, it's going to be the shot. So he's getting all pissed off. What you doing? He's got his face in these cobras. He's like, get away from me, mate. Oh, you're like, And I was like, pull the lens out. I have a way to light the shot. And he's so desperate, he stupidly listens to me. And he pulls the lens out of the box. I lean into the box and smile. And now the cobras are striking at my mouth. I go like, film this. He's like, what are you doing? I'm lighting up the box with my smile. He's like, get away from me! And so I had fun wasting Chris's time all over the world. And sometimes when you come to the end of a scene, you have to sum it up and do a chapter for like the NatGeoWild.com site. And the job is to, 3, 2, 1. My name is Henry Rollins, and I'm deep in the animal underworld here in Rajasthan, northern India, in the Bikaner province, and right now I'm at the temple of the Sri Karni Mata. And the thousands of rats you see running around at my feet are not pests. They are reincarnated relatives of all the people you see around me giving offerings to these rats. So don't step on that rat. It could be your mother. My name is Henry Rollins, and I'm deep in the animal underworld. That's what I'm supposed to do. And as you can tell, I can kind of sort of do that. So as long as I do that, eventually we get the shot. But as long as I don't do it, Chris has to wait for me to eventually do it. And he has to film every take, because that one might be the one. So as long as he's in need and he needs something from me, he is right where I want him. And quite often in India, when you're a film crew, people find this interesting. And all of a sudden, you have like 200 people watching you film some dirt. I'm not putting them down and saying like, what's so exciting about someone watching dirt? You're new in their village, you're new in their town. They're like, okay, we're just checking out these crazy people blazing red with sunburn. And they're filming something, so they come and check you out. When I see an audience, I have a Pavlovian response. It's showtime! And so there we are in Rajasthan, like in this incinerating heat. It's like 4 in the afternoon, and the sun's like, and Chris has had the camera on his shoulder, so it's like 6 a.m. He's like swaying from exhaustion. Like, all right, mate, do the thing, let's get out of here. I said, you look tired. Don't worry about how I look. He's so pissed off. I said, is there anything I can do? Maybe we can just do the thing. I said, okay, here we go. Are you ready? 3, 2, whoa, Mr. Sandman, bring me a man. Make him the butchest that you can. Give him a smile like Pagliacci and lots of wavy hair like Liberace, Mr. Sandman. I'm so well. Man, you got to do the shot! And so he gets really pissed off. And the only way he gets any revenge is when I'm either uncomfortable or about to get killed by something. And so days later, we find ourselves in Delhi, India, and we're interviewing a doctor who utilizes cow urine for his therapy. He's the cow urine doctor. And so for about an hour, we interview this very articulate, completely nice guy about cow urine and its use in medicine. And apparently if you have a headache, you take some cow urine, the headache goes away. You have body aches, rub some cow urine into the muscle group and you'll feel better. Bad attitude, cow urine. And so we interview him, he shows us how great cow urine is. So he said, thank you, we got it, thank you for the interview. And as a parting gift, he gives to me a bottle of his very own brand of cow urine as a gift. I said, well, thank you. I'm not going to be rude. I really don't have any use for a bottle of cow urine, nor do I want to take it home and have it explode in my luggage. But I'm not going to say, yeah, you and your cow urine. I said, thank you, sir. Shook hands, incredibly nice guy. And we leave, and I say to the producer, here's your cow urine. And I put it in his gear bag, and it now belongs to him. The next morning, we're in the lobby getting ready to go shoot something. And the producer said, I had an idea this morning. We have a little bit of time at the top of the day before we have to go here, here, and here and shoot. And we're going to go to a room that we're going to be shooting in later in the day. And we're going to light it, and you're going to drink some cow urine. And today, I called the doctor back, and I asked him to prescribe a general dose for overall body wellness for you to take for the camera. I said, okay, so what's the dose? He said, the dose is you take a full glass of water and you take like half a teaspoon of cow urine, like several drops, and you put it and you stir it up and you drink it. And I said, that's not that interesting. He said, what do you mean? I said, for the viewer, it's a clear glass of water with a few drops of semi-clear liquid being stirred into it, and I just drink what looks like a clear glass of water. Like if you're at home watching, it's a snore, it doesn't sell. He goes, okay, what sells? I said, what sells is I take a pure shot of cow urine, like boom, knock that back. And of course, Chris now comes like, mate, he's a visionary, let him do it! the doctor says that you need like 7 drops in a big glass of water. So a shot will be several hundred times the dose. I mean, we don't know what that could do. I mean, it could be fatal. I mean, maybe I should call the doctor back. No, don't call the doctor back! Henry's right, we should do this, let's do it! Drink, 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 drink. I said, this is the Australian bastard, I think he's onto something. And so we get to this room, and Chris lights it. I'm standing in front of the camera with an empty glass and this bottle of cow urine. And I like, 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's Henry Rollins again, deep in the animal underworld here in Delhi, India. You remember the interview we just did with the cow urine doctor? Well, I have some of this Dr. Grade A cow urine, and I'm going to drink some and tell you how I feel in the morning. And I crack open the cap, and I do, and I'm holding this glass, a little shot of cow urine, and I go, salud! And I pull the glass up to my mouth to drink, and when I pull it up, I inhale. And by doing so, I sniff out the main component of cow urine. It's like 99% pure ammonia. Whoa! Whoa! But I've got to drink it, and there's no turning back now. Because I'm not going to let Chris go, you wouldn't drink the cow urine. Like, I'm going to drink some cow urine, like, in his face. And so I realized this might leave a mark. And so I'm like, the pain was swift and severe. It's not like drinking brandy on a cold winter's night to warm yourself up. Actually, something I have never done. It was like drinking, floor cleaner, and the burning sensation is not being warmed. It's the first 5 layers of your esophagus melting off. And as soon as I drank it, I immediately see the Drano commercial, where you see the cloudy liquid exploding a ball of air in the U-joint of your sink. And I realized those are my intestines, and this liquid is going a straight line through internal organs, and I expect to smell burning cloth at any minute as it is dropped through my body, through the pants and underwear, to start eating a hole in the carpet. And I realize I am dying. And as I exhale, the remaining ammonia in my throat mixes with the exhaling air, lodging in my nasal cavities. I cannot get rid of the ammonia oxide that I am making. I'm a self-asphyxiating suicide machine. I am choking on myself. It's like spraying a mosquito with mosquito repellent. Like, I can't stand myself, which is a little existential, but you understand what I mean. I can't get away from myself. And I'm running around this room, staggering, tearing up, cross-eyed, bellowing like a wounded animal, like, and I finally kind of, level out, and I come back to basically where I was standing, and Chris looks at me, he's like, mate, I need another shot. Oh, no, I can't do that again. And I know, mate, I need another shot to cut to. I need a wide shot. I go, no, you don't. No. I know how cameras work. That's a single. That's a single. That was me in your face, drinking cow urine in a well-lit room filmed by a professional. That is all we need to do on the cow urine consumption front. He goes, mate, if you don't give me another shot, I can't use it. I'm like, really? Yeah, I wouldn't kid you. And so there's no way I'm going to go all the way to India, drink cow urine, and not make you watch. So I'm like, all right, so I drink more. He goes, yeah, you got to drink some more. I'm like, all right, hold on a minute. Let me kind of, steel myself. I'm like, is that thing rolling? Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. I'm in India. I'm going to drink some cow urine. What, you think I won't? Here we go. The second time was so much more painful than the first. I go staggering around this room, realizing I am liquefying my guts. I am dying. And I'm like, I'm dying. The tears are splashing down my cheeks. And I hear something hit the ground. I look over, Chris is on his back, arms and legs kicking at the ceiling. He is screaming in laughter. And I go over, and tears are flowing from his face. I look over, and my tears mixing with his. And I said, what's so funny? And he looks up at me. He says, mate, I didn't need the second shot. I just like to watch you drink cow piss. He says, this is what I do with my summer. For you! So, and you can watch all of this stuff for the right price online. I think they've YouTubed the hell out of it, including my alligator wrestling match in southern Florida, where Chris really really wanted me to get my head crunched by an alligator. And there's like me on the back of an alligator. And the men who dragged it out of the swamp said, don't worry, Henry, he's more of a runner than a biter. You know, it's really busted that I on a Tuesday afternoon. And so I jump on the back of this alligator and I do all these different things. And finally I can get off the alligator. I said, how do you get off the alligator? He said, just jump off as fast as you can and watch out for the tail, the mouth, the nose, the eyes. I mean, it's a killing machine. You know, like you end up in the parking lot, the adrenaline is so intense. And so I saw it on the internet the other day. I just typed in Henry Rollins alligator, and there's a YouTube clip where someone took it from the TV and put it on. And there it is, me with this alligator. And underneath, you can put your comments. And you'd think the comments would be a damn, Henry. Way to come from the streets of Northwest Washington, D.C. A mere ice cream scooper minimum wage worker who went for the big time with punk rock and a multimedia life that's been fascinating as it has been turbulent, full of trials and tribulations, the vicissitudes of life. My friend, you have seen them all. Instead of something like that, the first comment underneath, the only one I read, I got so mad, said, I thought the alligator would be bigger. Thank you! Thank you! Thank you! And again, the First Amendment, working hard for you. And so, I do my best to go bouncing around the world as far and as wide as I can, because I refuse to give up on the idea that we humans are pretty cool. And my father taught me to hate and fear people of different ethnicities, hate gay people, hate women, and I just can't hold with any of that. It doesn't make any sense to me. And so, you know, I think I will. I kind of sort of bet you that we're all on the same page with that, but I'm just saying, he wanted me to go that way. I went, no. And so as I got older, I sought to travel more and more. And then, as many of you remember, we had a president for 8 years, a little while ago, who had a very odd relationship or non-assimilation pact with the English language. Bush v. English, Bush contra English. Words would leap from his mouth, like wiping his spit off them, never to come back again. Especially the polysyllabic words. Like he'd grip the lectern with this face veiled in grim determination. And it would pop out as a proliferator. And the word proliferator would leap from his mouth, go, never again, never again. And so he taught me to be afraid of countries. Don't go to Iran, they hate your freedom. One, please. And every single time he'd demonize a country, I would go. And I'd walk down the streets and walk through everywhere, stick my hand out and say what I'd said all over the world for years. I'm still here. I say, hey, my name's Henry, what's happening? It's the best possible icebreaker. When somewhere on the streets of Islamabad or wherever you're walking around, and someone says, why are you here? And I was like, why am I here? Why am I here? I'm here to meet you. My name's Henry, what's happening? And it always gets a laugh. Like, you're here to meet me? I said, ding, 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 ding. You won the big prize, what's happening? And they're like, that's funny. I'm like, yeah. And we get along. And so I've been doing this for quite a long time. Now I'm of great interest to intelligence gathering agencies in America because my passport is so sexy. It's too sexy for Dulles Airport. It's too sexy for Los Angeles International Airport. I'm taken into rooms and surrounded by uniformed men who hold my passport in front of me like they've got the goods on me. Why'd you go to Syria? Because I'm curious. Why are you curious? Why are you curious and I'm curious? We're watching you, weirdo. And so I go. And my takeaway is that the world is full of really extremely, extraordinarily kind, brave, gentle, genuinely wonderful people. And you've found this in your travels as well. And there's no better way, in my opinion, to smack the cynicism out of your mouth and out of your thoughts than going to these places and just meeting people and trying to understand their lives and letting a little bit of it rub off on you. You bring it home and you become an interesting import item back to your own country because you've got a little bit of knowledge that you can't get any other way than putting your feet on the ground and going. Books are cool. Books are the introduction to a place, but when you go and you have your own personal experience in one of these places, that's the real thing. That, to me, at least, is the real stuff of life. And so I've been bouncing all over the world, and I go into slums, into souks, into bazaars. I walk down railroad tracks, along rivers, into slums like in Bangladesh, where I walk all over the streets of Sri Lanka or anywhere I am in India, where Indonesia or wherever I end up. And I go fairly far and wide. And I go into villages like in Sudan or Uganda or Senegal or parts of Mali where I've been. And I meet people who are living, low to the ground. They're living a pretty tough life. And if I have a translator, if they speak English, I ask them. I've asked this question all over the world, and I get variants of the same answer back. I ask them, if you had anything you wanted or everything you wanted, what would it be? And the answer is never 2 trick-ass bitches in a Lamborghini. It is never that. It's usually water-based. I want some water that won't kill my kids. I want some water without mosquito larvae darting around in it that would give my kid diarrhea, that would lead to dehydration, that would kill the kid. It's never about the adults. It's all about the kids. We want soap to clean their bodies. We want books to make them literate. We want a day without war. We want you to get rid of these minefields. We want you to get rid of the unexploded ordnance. And all we want is a little bit of water and a chance at the future. I go, what about the trick-ass bitches in the Lamborghini? Like, are you kidding out here? We just want a little bit of hope and a shot at a life. And like Abraham Lincoln said in the early days before the Civil War broke out, in the early days of his administration, this is a great Lincoln fun fact, he would let the people come into the White House and they'd walk up to his desk. There was a line of people and they would air their grievances to the President of the United States, like in his face. Mr. Lincoln, I got a bone to pick with you, sir. And he would just write it all down. Okay, you're angry. You lost your goat, and you're mad about that. And his aides would come on, Mr. Lincoln, you're the President of the United States. Why are you hanging out with the rabble with their common complaints? He said something really beautiful. He said they don't ask for much, and they get so little. So why not listen? And this is what I hear all over the world. People don't want much. They want so little. They just want to breathe and not fear so much. What do they call it? A fistful of 50s and a day without fear. I heard that in 1997. I don't know. I forget where I heard it. But that's, I think, what they want. And this is what I find all over the world. And so finding that out, it does not allow me to be mean about people. So I meet too many good ones. Yeah, there's some duds. I mean, there's some people who are drag, but they're eclipsed by the good ones. They really are. And so as last year came to an end, I did all this crazy stuff with Nat Geo. I managed to pull off 65 shows somehow in a non-tour year because I'm hyper like that. And so I had like 4 weeks before this tour started, which this is the 153rd show this year out of 186 I'll be doing for the year. And so thanks. I've been doing this since January 6th of this year, so this is what I do. And so last year was coming to an end, and I saw this year looming. Like, well, I'm going to be traveling for a year. I've got a few more weeks before I leave for a year. What should I do? I better leave for a few weeks before I leave for a year, because I'd rather be out in the world than at home. Home is kind of Snoresville. You play the new records you got. After one year on tour, you order some records, you come back, you play them, you're like, huh, that's nice, now let's go see what's happening in the world, and I gotta go back out there. And so I said, well, I better go to Haiti and see what's going on. Because as you know, Haiti several months ago had an earthquake that killed a lot of people and displaced thousands of people more. So I went there on a Joe Strummer, Thomas Jefferson solo punk rock improv mission. I just went there on my own with a fistful of money, and I found a car company. They rent cars, which is hard to find in Port-au-Prince. So I found a guy named Jimmy, and he's a pro driver with his car from the agency. So Jimmy picks me up at the hotel, nice guy. I jump in the front seat with him. He calls me Mr. Rollins, and just call me Henry. And he goes, okay, what do you want to do today? I said, I want to go to 10 cities, see where people have been relocated. I want to interview them, I want to photograph them, I want to hear about their lives, I want to get an understanding, what I can't get in the magazine. I want to put my feet on the ground and like see what it looks like so I can understand a little bit more. And he said, I can't do that. I said, it's illegal? He said, no, it's just unwise. I go, what do you mean? He said, look, we put you in a tent city, you might not get out in one piece. I said, it's pretty tough. He said, tough like you wouldn't believe. I said, Jimmy, I am hopelessly naive and utopian, and I think that I can sing and dance and smile and smirk my way out of any situation of conflict, that if my tail is wagging wildly enough and I show my true intent of curiosity and really wanting to connect, we'll be okay. He looks at me, he's like, are you high? I said, no, I'm really into this. He said, okay, I'll park you next to a tent city and you can look at it, but you can't go in. I went, okay. And so we find ourselves on some high street. It kind of looks like this. The street's high, and down below is a tent city. And you see, as far as you can, improvised houses, huts, whatever people can make, and dilapidated bladders of water. The big rubber bladders of water, but they're flat. Not much water left inside. And below me is a group of men. They're just adult men hanging out and talking. I'm standing above them looking this way, taking photos with a wide lens of everything that's going on. on. The men see me. They look up. They become enraged that I'm taking a photo. They yell at me a mile a minute in very angry Creole, except for one guy who speaks English. So here comes all these syllables coming up at me and angry index fingers being shook in my face. And they're not going away. They're like staying on the anger. They're pissed. I'm like, wow, I'm not trying to be rude, sirs. I'm just taking photos. And so one guy speaks English, and he said, don't make fun of us. I'm like, make fun of you? I said, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm just trying to take some photographs. But he won't stop. None of them will stop. They keep yelling. And the guy says something that was so weird. He said, don't make fun of us. I need you. Don't make fun of us. I need you. I went, okay. And I go running down the street into the tent city with Jimmy running behind me going, no! Because he thinks it's a setup. I go in, I'm surrounded by angry adult men, spits flying in my face, index fingers on people, they're pissed. And I'm not a tough guy. I'm not brave, and I'm not looking for a fight with you, your uncle, or anybody. I'm just not that afraid of people, in that I think that we can get along somehow. And so these men are like, the vitriol was intense. I said, okay, I got it. You're angry. I got it. My name's Henry. What's happening? I shake my hand like, oh, I'm Andre. And this is Victor, and they calm down at least 30%. And they start to breathe a little. Then Jimmy catches up, out of breath, a mile a minute Creole. Sorry about my crazy American friend, he means no disrespect to everyone. Everyone, calm down. Everyone starts breathing. I said, Jimmy, translate this to these guys. I said, fellas, I'm not an NGO. I know you need 150,000 gallons of water right now. I got it. I can't supply it. But I got my pal Jimmy, and we have a car. Is there some small thing I can do for you today to help? And they hear that, and they're like, do you want to help us? I said, well, as much as two guys in a car can help. I mean, we're not, we're not the World Food Program. We're two guys in a car. Like, but I don't want to do nothing. I want to do something. And one guy through Jimmy said, we could use some soccer balls. And he points at all these kids. The kids are kicking plastic bags into a ball. I said, soccer balls. So the kids, okay, what else? And one guy said, soap. We could use some soap. I said, I understand. Soap, keep the body clean, keep the morale up. Soap and soccer balls. We'll come back in a few hours with some soap and soccer balls. And that got translated to them, and they all laughed and said, no, you won't. And I said, oh, yes, we will. No, you won't. And so I said, oh, yeah, watch. We'll see you in a couple of hours. And I just about-faced and marched off.